Welcome to Sports Corner with Ralph Williams and Smokin' Jim Frazier. And now here's your host, Ralph Williams and Smokin' Jim Frazier.
Oh, yeah, it's the Sports Corner show today, every Tuesday, 4 to 5 p.m., right here on your social media platforms, and that is the YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch platforms. Working on some other networks to get on as well with this show. Today, we have a very great show for you today. We have Jeremy BALLREICH from the kneecap-biting Detroit Lions. He will join us shortly. And then at 4:30, Stephen Thompson will join us. He's coming on to talk with us about the Pitt football team, their bowl game. Who's going to play quarterback? That's going to be the biggest question of the day because Nate Yarnell just transferred. So we need to find that out. And my rant is going to be one great one today. But first, let's get started. Smokin' Jim Frazier, how are you today? You there,
Hey, I'm doing good, Ralph. Yeah, I'm doing good, brother. Can't wait for this one.
All right, there you go. All right, he's at the bingo parlor at the YMCA, like I said in Stripes, so there you go. All right, let's see here. We got the comments section open here. Let's see what this person has to say. Super Bowl or bust. You got that right, says Donkey Kong. And that's with, and also today we are simulcasted on Kneecap Biting Network with Jeremy BALLREICH, and we'll be having him coming up shortly. My rant today is simple, all right? The NCAA, there's a lot of things they need to do. They need to get some kind of structure. First of all, they need to cap the NIL. They need to give every college a cap. Like every college to have $2 million. That's all you can spend. Just like the NFL, the NBA, and the NHL. They need to have the transfer portal and the recruiting, and no coaches can be fired or anything can happen until after all bowl games have been satisfied. So let's say, for instance, Pitt players want to transfer. They can't until after the bowl game is over. This will stop teams from being shorthanded in the bowl games. This will stop the teams from not caring about the bowl games or the NCAA for not caring about the bowl games. All right? Transfer portal business, recruiting business, firing and hiring coaches, that stuff should be done after the bowl games are satisfied. That's my rant for today. Smokin' Jim Frazier's wisdom. Go ahead, Smokin' Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Ralph. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Hey, man, listen, again, 3 years ago, I said it would be a bust of a draft that the Steelers didn't get Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison this past weekend had 8 catches, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Steelers are still complaining that they don't have a number 2 receiver. That was it right there. Last year, I said that the Pittsburgh Steelers needed to get my Cooper DeJean. Coach Tomlin even talked so highly of him in his press conference today. He body slammed Derrick Henry. He's probably going to be up for NFL Rookie of the Year. Listen, it's time to make impact. You got to get impact players. We keep drafting projects. We already got tackles. We keep the Steelers keep drafting tackles after tackles after tackle. You want to win a Super Bowl, if you want championships, you need impact players to come in. And that's what Addison and DeJean would have done.
All right. The great Smokin' Jim Frazier's great wisdom as always. And we're in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-2010-500. Call Mata today. Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. They also not only offer heating and air conditioning services, they offer UV lighting, and they also offer snow melt. So call them today, 724-2010-500. Tell them Ralph Williams sent you. All right. Our guest is brought to you in part today by the original Hometown Pizza, 412-264-4444. The original Hometown Pizza, Moon Township, University Boulevard. Eat in, takeout, or delivery. And also don't forget, immediately following Sports Corner Wrestle Talk with me, Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier. Lots to talk about today as well, including the transfer portal in the WWE. At 5:30, we'll have guest Matt Berenick, who is the ring announcer for the Pros of Wrestling. Last week, we had a communication problem, and that's why he wasn't able to be on the show. All right, and now we're going to introduce our guest, Jeremy Ballrich, also known as Smokin' Jeremy B. We have two Smokins today. We have Smokin' Jeremy B, Smokin' Jim Frazier, and it's great to have both of you guys here on the air with me today. And I want to say this, and that is that Smokin' Jeremy B is also on the Fire Up Show with me on Thursdays, and Candy Ebling through the South Florida Tribune Network, and we're also on together on Wednesday nights for the NFL Roundtable that we have as well. And then on Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., Jeremy Ballrich and I are on the External Bum Show with Scott Morganroth and Leo Haggerty. So, Jeremy and I do a lot of work together, and it's great to have Jeremy aboard the show today because I know in the past it was conflicting with your schedule, but now you're able to come on, so that's great. Smokin' Jim, say hello to Jeremy.
What's up, Smoke Man?
Hey, I'm happy to be here, Smokin' Jim. Good to be here with Ralph. We work together a lot. We've built quite the rapport together. And it's nice to be able to come on and just talk Lions with you guys.
Yeah, not only Lions, we're going to talk all NFL today as well. Right up until 4:30. That's when we have Stephen Thompson coming on to talk about the Pitt Panther football team. They're going to a bowl game. But the question is, who's going to play quarterback? And they lost some guys in the transfer portal. And I have a report on a guy who used to play for Pitt, two guys that used to play for, or actually, I'm sorry, three guys who used to play for Pitt. And they've been one season at the other team and didn't start. They were starters at Pitt and decided they thought they could go elsewhere. And guess what? They ended up getting burned. I'll tell you who those guys are later on.
I know one of them by name.
Yeah, who's that?
Keaton Slovis?
Oh, yeah, Keaton Slovis. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he went to he went to Brigham Young. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the only guy that's left Pitt and been a starter has been the wide receiver that Smokin' Jim wanted, the one that ended up being drafted by Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Addison. He should be a Steeler. He should have been. I agree with Smokin' Jim on that. We decided to go in another direction, and look, so. But we needed a second wide receiver, and he would have complemented George Pickens very well. But we have Mike Williams now, so we'll see where that goes. But anyway, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about the Detroit Lions. I know they're 12-1. They're number one seed in the NFC right now in the playoffs. What are we looking at here with them? How are they doing? What's the injuries looking like? I mean,
I'm going to tell you exactly what I told you this preseason when we were talking about the season matchup. I've been a fan for 45 years, and it wasn't so much about the top end talent that made this team so good. It's the coaching, the front office, plus the depth of talent on this roster. It's the best depth of talent I had ever seen, and they started proving it. Because you remember on that show, they said, man, if Aiden Hutchinson goes down, how are you guys going to win? Because he's your entire defense.
Yes.
What have we done ever since he got hurt?
You've played well. You haven't lost a step, as they say.
Right. And now we've made that trade for Zadarius Smith, who's no Aiden Hutchinson, and I'm not trying to compare him to him. But in the 3 games he's played, he's got 3.5 sacks and 20 pressures. So he's actually pressure-wise replacing what Aiden Hutchinson did. He's just not replacing the sack production. And I want to be clear on that. I'm not saying Zadarius Smith is as good as Aiden Hutchinson. I'm just saying on a team that nobody thought would still be doing good after he went down, he's provided that spark the last few games that we started to lose as more injuries piled up. And yes, Donkey Kong, we are considered number 1 in almost every power ranking right now.
Yes, thank you, Donkey Kong, for being part of the program. Also, don't forget we're simulcasted today on the Kneecap Fighting Network, YouTube, and Facebook as well. And we're on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch here for the Sports Corner Show with me, Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier, our guest, Jeremy BALLREICH from the Kneecap Biting Network and the Detroit Lions. Smokin' Jim, you have any questions for Jeremy?
No, I'm enjoying the conversation. He's kicking butt and taking names, brother.
You got that right.
You know,
Jeremy, let me ask you this question. Coming into the playoffs, and I know it's a little premature. Which team do you think will be dangerous that Detroit would have to face if the playoffs were to happen today?
I think there's 3 teams. It's the other 2 out of the North that are right there with us in Green Bay and Minnesota. Both of those teams have played us close. And then you got to throw Philly in there because everything they do matches up well with what we do well.
Right.
So the difference is we haven't had, other than the statistical anomaly that was the Buccaneers game where we outgained everybody by 400 yards to 280. We've been dominating time of possession in every game except the crazy one is the Titans game where we scored 52 points. And that was because our special teams was so good. That was 300 yards that we didn't have to do on offense.
Everybody scores 52 points on the Titans. They stink. Oh my gosh. They're real bad.
And I remember saying this last week when we were talking about the pick'ems and everybody was trying to pick the Titans to beat the Jaguars. I said, no, the Jaguars will beat them in their house because they're like the Cowboys. They can't win at home.
Oh,
and what happened? What happened?
The Bears won.
The Jags won. And then everybody was like, boy, I wonder what this new offense of the Bears is going to look like with their interim offensive coordinator as their interim head coach. 4 yards in the first half told me it's not very good.
That's for sure. Hey, Smokin' Jim Frazier, want to add anything? You there, Smokin' Jim?
Hey, what's happening, Ralph?
Yeah, are you there? You want to add anything?
Yeah.
Anything you want to?
No, I'm just listening, brother.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure you didn't get lost in a bingo game. So there you go.
Kudos to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I said this is the way it was going to go in the AFC North all year. Whoever's at home is probably winning every game. You guys play each other tough, no matter how good or bad the records are. It's just like the NFC North. No matter how good or bad the records are, all those teams play each other tough. They're usually one-score games. There's some anomalies every now and then where you blow somebody out, but it's rare.
Right.
So I was very happy for the Steelers to do exactly as I said they would. They beat the Browns at home. Jameis Winston did Jameis Winston things.
Yes, exactly. Well, I hope they're going to win Christmas Day. I think Kansas City is beatable. I watched that game last night. They are beatable. I mean, they have a good defense. The offense is struggling a little bit, but they have a good defense, and that's what's been keeping them in these games. I mean,
Mike, was it Al Michaels that said it that night? Or was it Mike? Or no, it was Mike Tirico,
no, Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth.
And they doinked it for the division.
Oh wait, no, they're on Sunday night. It's Al Michael. I can't remember who does my
whoever does it. Yeah. It was
Troy
Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard him say that, and they doinked it for the division. All I know is I was looking at my phone, so I didn't even see that they made the field goal range because I was texting with somebody, and I heard the doink, and then I heard the announcement, and I was like, "You can't make this stuff up. This team can't lose."
All right, real quick here. I want to get off track a little bit here, but first I want to send my condolences. Smokin' Jim probably does as well. Former equipment manager for the Steelers, Tony Parisi, passed away this week, 91 years old. My condolences to his family. And also, I want to congratulate Dave Parker for the Pittsburgh Pirates, made it to the Baseball Hall of Fame this week, this Saturday, coming up 2 to 3 p.m. on the Sports Corner radio show. We are going to have Dave Parker's agent on. All right, he will be on to join us this Saturday, 2 to 3 p.m., 12:50 a.m., 92.5 The Answer. Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. I also want to bring. Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm sorry.
I was saying well deserved for Dave Parker.
Oh yes, absolutely. He should have been in a long time ago. And you know who else should be in too? And I know a lot of people argue about this, Barry Bonds. I think Bonds should be in it. You know what I mean?
if you took out the San Francisco Giants
We
era
had the argument about
completely,
Pete Rose. I mean,
Barry Bonds was one of the best five-tool players to ever play the game while he was with Pittsburgh.
oh yeah, yeah, he was, yeah. And Pittsburgh was his best years. He'll even tell you that. Those were his best years of his career. He even
Better
admitted it.
batter, better batting average, less strikeout rate, less walk
Yes,
rate, more
yes,
stolen bases. Didn't he even win a couple Golden Gloves or at least one?
I think he did. Yeah, and he was in the All-Star game. He made that big play from the outfield there when he threw that guy out at
Oh
home
yeah,
plate. I
the
saw
one
that when I was.
he caught that on one hop and fired it
Yeah.
in. He looked like he threw a strike too.
Yeah, you know what was sad though about that, about Dave Parker? He got paid a lot of money, and a lot of people in this town were bitter with him when he was struggling. They were throwing batteries at him and calling him porker and all kinds of stuff. And I remember those days. And I used to say to people, you know what? That's disgraceful. Don't just do that to a guy. You know what I mean? I mean, that's like when Cliff Stout came back to play for the Birmingham Stallions against the Pittsburgh Maulers. They threw snowballs and beer bottles at him, and the whole Three River Stadium sold out for that game. That was the only game the Maulers sold out because they were mad at Cliff Stout about what he did with the Steelers. So I mean, it happens, and so. But let's
At
get
least
back to some
at least the
schedule.
Steelers and Pirates fans never threw snowballs and slush balls at Santa.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, or run around on the field or something, or do something stupid. Yeah, that's. Hey, you know what? I worked at Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium. I know exactly what goes on there, and it's crazy what goes on there. I'm going to tell you something that went on there once, Jeremy. Heinz Ward's family was sitting in these bleacher seats right by where the one rotunda is, and I was
Right?
working that section. These people, we used to serve beer in cups. So they were taught letting the cups fall from the rotunda and hit his family. So I
Oh,
yelled up to these drunks and I said, listen, stop doing that. That's Heinz Ward's family. They kept doing it. So finally, I had to call reinforcement security in. I had to get the police up there. And they just kept dropping them cups down and with beer on Heinz Ward's family. I thought that was disrespectful. You know what I mean?
respect respect is no longer given as freely as it used to be. That's
Oh, I
the
know.
problem.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, they throw hot dogs at Smokin' Jim when he goes to the games. They throw hot dogs at him.
And I want to say kudos to our opponents, is even though they lost, they played a hell of a game versus Detroit.
Yeah,
And
they did.
the difference is once a few key components also went down in this game, we weren't getting that pressure from the interior of the defensive line, which
Right.
gave Jordan Love more time to hit those chunk plays. While they only had 199 net passing yards, 112 of it was on 4 catches by Christian Watson. That tells you why they were able to score their 4 touchdowns. Because you flipped the field from being outside the red zone to into the red zone in less than 10 seconds.
Oh yeah. Okay. This next segment is brought to you in part by Draft Nation. We're going to be going over some the NFL scores from this week and some of the games that are coming up this week as well. DraftNation.com, $9.99 a month. They'll put in your inbox a draft magazine where you could check out about all the talents involved in all the different drafts. They get involved in every single. They have some podcasts as well. Check out DraftNation.com. And we're also in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-2010-500 Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. Okay, guys, let's get into some of these games. We'll start with you, Smokin' Jim. Your thoughts on the we'll start with the Browns Steeler game. Your thought on the game this week. Did we lose Smokin' Jim?
Hey, sorry about that, Ralph.
That's okay.
I was driving in traffic, so sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I don't want you to get into a wreck now. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
on
want
my
you to
way
do
to
that.
Bethel Park, man.
Yeah, I know. You got to stop at KFC, and I don't know if you're going to Pasta 2 anymore after what I told you. So I don't know.
Oh man, nah, I took a little break from that.
But anyway, Steelers Browns game this past week, Smokin' Jim. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. You got to be impressed with the Pittsburgh Steelers' ability on their defense to make splash plays, man. Even as old as Ironhead Hayward or Cam Hayward, whatever he calls himself, he got a big head like his daddy, so I call him Ironhead. But this guy's just making plays in backfields, man. He's making his presence notice. Herbig, I tell you what, we got Preston Smith from Green Bay. What can you say about T.J. Watt?
Yep.
Peyton Wilson, and I tell you what, man, the surprise and the guy don't get enough credit is number 25, the strong safety.
Deshaun Elliott. Yeah.
He don't get enough credit.
No.
For the impact that he's made, because that's a position we really needed to upgrade, man. So, hey, we started off slow. I think both teams, I think the wind affected them. But we did what we had to do, man. It was tough without. I thought that George Pickens was suspended, but he got a partial tear in his hamstring, so I guess that was legit.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they finally played Mike Williams, man. Mike Williams is 6'4", 220, and I tell you what, he made some big time plays. And Scotty Miller, always liked him. He made some plays, and Freiermuth is having a career year.
Yes.
So far. So what people don't realize is Russell Wilson's only been with this team 7 games.
I love him. I think he's it's the best thing we've had since Ben Roethlisberger. And I've said it many times. The Steelers dropped the ball right after Ben retired. They had no plan. They had no idea. They thought Kenny Pickett was it, and we all said Kenny Pickett wasn't it, except for a few people that Smokin Jim and I know that praised him up and down like he was the next Dan Marino, and he wasn't. And so. But I'm very pleased. I love Russell Wilson, the way he conducts business on the field. There, he rolls to the right, rolls to the left, throws the ball, surveys the field before he throws. He knows exactly where the ball's going, and the receiver knows when the ball's coming. So there you go. And and I like his little touch passes. And he don't throw too many interceptions either. That's good news for Russell Wilson. But any more thoughts on the game or Smokin Jim?
No, I think. You pretty much, just cleaned it up too, man. What you said was right on point, and I tell you what, brother, I like, a win's a win.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
And I see some good signs out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So do I. Jeremy, your thoughts on the Cleveland Steeler game?
What I was most impressed with is the improved play of your offensive line. All year, every game, it seems like they're doing a little bit better on keeping Russell Wilson and everybody upright. They're opening better holes in the run game. And when you have a better run game, Russell Wilson is a better quarterback. And that's what it all boils down to. If you're able to run the ball, your quarterback will play better.
You know what? Sometimes if you run the ball and play good defense, you only need a quarterback to manage the game. So, you know what I mean? I mean, you think about that. It's not. Quarterback is a difficult position. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying it's easy, but the game can be easy for any quarterback if you can run the ball and you can play defense, control the clock and the line of scrimmage, and you're good. You know what I mean? Those are the key ingredients to winning a football game, regardless of who plays quarterback. And what's nice about the Steelers is we have the luxury of three quarterbacks. We have Russell Wilson. We have Justin Fields, and please, everybody, Kyle Allen. No, Kyle Allen backed up Josh Allen up in Buffalo and won games. So Kyle Allen is a serviceable quarterback.
And yet at the same time, you could say the same thing about Mitch Trubisky, and you could say the same thing about Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, we'll see about Mitch Trubisky. Tyrod Taylor, he's a serviceable quarterback. I like Tyrod Taylor.
I'm just saying, Mitch Trubisky, when Allen did go down those 3 games, I think it was a partial hamstring tear he had when he was there before he came to Pittsburgh. Yeah. He went 2-1.
Yeah. Well, I think you already know what I've said many times about Mitch Trubisky. I think it was the accident of the play of the I can't remember the player's name that was down in Florida and got
Dwayne
killed.
Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins, that's right. Yeah. I think it did. And a lot of people didn't believe what I said, and then suddenly I brought the point up, and everybody's like, "Oh, you know what? That is true." You know what I mean? Nobody thought of it, and I says it has to be that, because how do you go from being where you were before to this? and then you end up, you know what I mean? I think it got in his head. I really do. I believe that to be the case.
That
You
and
know?
2 years of not being a starter.
Yeah,
2 years
exactly.
of not being a starter messes with the quarterback's confidence. But here's the one great thing you can say about Mitch Trubisky that you can't say about any other quarterback that's been active since 2017. He's the
What's that?
only active quarterback to have never thrown a pick six.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, real quick here because I got to get Jeremy off here in a few minutes, but we're going to
Yep.
go over some of the games for this coming week. All right, we got Thursday. We got the Rams and the 49ers. Let's start with that. Smoking Jim, your thoughts? Rams, the 49ers. You there, Smoking Jim?
Hey, I'm sorry, Ralph. I missed that. What you say?
The bingo game must be getting hot and heavy. All right, the 49ers
Hey,
and
man, that's
Rams.
traffic.
So go ahead.
Well, I tell you what, man, 49ers with the injury and the Rams, man, they've been down, but they're starting to come on. I hate to go against my man Purdy, but man, that should be a good, very good game. I'm always going to lean towards San Francisco, man. I'm always leaning that direction.
Jeremy B. Smoking
Is it
Jeremy
in San Fran or LA this time?
It's in San Fran.
Well, it doesn't matter because either stadium it's a home game for San Francisco because the home fans don't support LA that much.
No,
So
they don't.
that being said, I think San Fran pulls it out. We just seen it looks like they're heading in the right direction last week with what they did to the Bears, and you see what the difference having Bosa in that front seven makes. So with Bosa and Fred Warner, they've got the better defense. They should win, especially with being at home.
All right, next, Commanders and the Saints. I'm taking the Commanders in this game. I think the Saints are going to lose. Jeremy Ballrich, go ahead.
Since Derek Carr broke something in his non-throwing hand, yeah, Jake Hayner has no shot. We know Spencer Rattler's bad. We saw him start a game. So yeah, I'm taking the Commanders to get a get right game after their bye week.
Okay, next, Chiefs and Browns.
Give
Chiefs
me
and
the Commanders. Give me the Commanders.
Oh, sorry, Smoking Jim. I didn't mean to.
Is Joe Gibbs back? Is Joe Gibbs back? Give me the Commanders, bro.
I told everybody and nobody believed me. I said Cliff Kingsbury's a good offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn got that team. He's got some great guys in his coaching staff. And I'll tell you what, Jalen Daniels, nobody believed me. No, everybody said I was wrong. Some people said I was full of it. I said, well, you know what? Not now. Chiefs and Browns. You know what? As much as I don't like the Browns are way out of it. I hope they beat the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are going to win this game. But it's in Cleveland, and you never know in Cleveland. Go ahead, Jeremy Ballrich.
I have the feeling the Browns may upset them because they've had a tendency of looking past bad teams and almost losing already.
All right, Smoking Jim.
Fourth quarter, Patty Mahomes. He always finds a way to pull it out. I think they need this. I think they need this game so that they can, lock it up somewhat early, and they won't have to play the starters in Denver at the end of the season. So they're not going to slip up against the Browns. And don't forget, Travis Kelce is from Cleveland.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, next, real quick here, Bengals and Titans. Titans can't win at home, as Jeremy Ballrich has pointed out. I hate to do it, but I'm taking the Bengals in this one.
Amen.
Unless Mason Rudolph plays and has one heck of a game, and he hasn't played. So,
Well, the last time Mason Rudolph played, it was versus Detroit. That didn't go too well.
No, it did. Smoking Jim, Bengals, Titans.
Woo! I tell you what, man. Joe Burrow may get the MVP on a losing team. He's going to continue his 3-touchdown streak, but I think Joe Burrow and the Bengals outscore Tennessee.
All right, we're going to stick in the AFC North here because I got my other guest waiting here. The Ravens, Giants. Ravens, I hope the Giants upset them. It's in New Jersey. We'll see.
If anybody wants to pick the Giants the rest of the season, it'll be the first time.
You know how I always raise my hand, Jeremy, when we're doing the thing.
Yeah, I know.
So I always raise my hand.
I know.
I can't forget the any given Sunday part when when LL Cool J
Cool
raises
J
his
did
hand,
that,
I
yeah.
don't want to be. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to use the excursive
Oh,
on here.
I didn't want you to be the only one calling yourself that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Smoking Jim, Ravens, Giants.
I think the Giants impacted in. They didn't quit, man. So I'm going with the Ravens.
All right. Yes, absolutely. They folded the tent. All right. Lions, Bills for Jeremy Ballrich. I'm going with the Lions in this. It's at home, and so that's what I'm doing. Bills are on a little bit of a funk right now. They're not winning games. They've been losing a few here and there. So I'm taking the Lions here. Jeremy, of course, you're going to take the Lions.
I'm taking the Lions, but it's more because of the defense than the offense. Like I said, the offenses are a wash, but when you throw in how loud Ford Field's been getting as the second loudest stadium in the NFL right now, and that's whether it's closed or open, people.
Right.
They're making it hard on offenses to get their cadence out, and they're getting a lot of false starts, which pushes teams back 5 yards every time, as we know. But statistically, they lose the red zone battle against teams 54.2% of the time. And on third downs, they're giving up a 43.2% conversion rate, whereas the Lions are first in third down conversion rate as a defense, only giving up 31.3% first down.
All right. Smoking Jim, Bills, Lions.
Well, I don't know where you see the Bills losing here and there. I think they lost one game, and the Lions are definitely due to lose a game. Listen, Josh Allen, in my opinion, is best quarterback in football. This is a guy that's going to find a way to win. I think they're going to go down there in Detroit, and Detroit's been flirting with a couple close games here and there. Green Bay had their opportunities. I think Buffalo Bills beat them at home.
All right. Smoking Jeremy B., thanks for being part of the program today.
Not a problem.
We'll have you come back on again another time. It was a pleasure having you on here as usual.
It was a pleasure to be here.
All right, Jeremy, say what you normally say when you close out or you're leaving.
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love, everybody.
All right. Have a great one, Jeremy.
I like
Thank
that.
you.
I like that, man. Thanks, Smoking. Great job.
All right.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. That was just Smoking Jeremy B., Jeremy Ballrich from the Detroit Lions, and we're simulcast on his broadcasting network today. And our next guest is brought to you in part by, let me see here. Oh, there we go. Robin Campbell Insurance. Call Robin Campbell today, 412-366-3399. Any insurance needs you need, life, auto, home, and renters. And I've been pushing everybody about renters insurance. You get a fire in your building. If you're living in an apartment complex or something, you get a fire and your landlord says to you, oh yeah, you're covered. And then all of a sudden you get a fire and you have to call the Red Cross or something to get you somewhere to go. Hey, cover yourself. Farmers Insurance. It's a minimal. It costs no more than maybe about $20 a month. Not even that in some cases. Call Robin today, 412-366-3399. All right. We're also in the Mata Heating and Air Conditioning Studio, 724-2010-500. Call Mata Heating and Air Conditioning. We're in studio or 808 Studios up here in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. All right. And now our next guest is Stephen Thompson, who is the beat writer for Pitt Athletics. And he's with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Stephen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
All right. Smoking Jim, say hello to Stephen.
Hey, what's happening, Steve?
I'm doing well, Jim. How are you?
All right. Stephen, Pitt's going to a bowl game and in Detroit. They're going to be playing the Toledo Rockets. My question to you right now is, who is the quarterback for Pitt right now? Because Yarnell's gone and Holstein's injured, and I don't think he's coming back anytime soon unless there's a miracle happening. But who's going to be the starting quarterback?
Yeah, we don't really know at this point. Pat Narduzzi told us that Eli Holstein, when he did get hurt against Louisville, that injury is not season-ending, meaning I think he left the door open for him to possibly return to a bowl game. Really haven't talked to Pat Narduzzi since and gotten an update on that. But, if Holstein can't end up going, I think it'd be the walk-on David Lynch from Greenwich, Rhode Island. he was the one to step in at the end of that Louisville game when Yarnell was a little banged up as well. And then he kind of closed out that Boston, or actually he stepped in for a play or two when Yarnell got injured his wrist against Boston College. So with B. David Lynch, I can't tell you we've seen a whole lot of him. I think he's, at least according to the coaches, he's operated the offense well in practice, well enough to beat out Ty Diefenbach, who was, I believe, a 2 or 3 star recruit coming out of the class of 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
It'd be David Lynch. These Panthers are really banged up kind of at a bunch of different places on the offense. And you've got some other guys who are either transferring or opting out for the draft. Konate Mumpfield, the leading receiver, just announced that today. But on the better news on the injury front is that Desmond Reed would be expected to play in this game. He did not travel and play against Boston College, but having him back, he's their best playmaker. That would be huge for the Panthers in this game.
Okay. My next question to you real quick is, with all the transfers and everything else, and Pat Narduzzi, and with this recruiting class and the transfer portal and all that stuff, where does Pitt go now to try to get back some of these players that they're losing? I mean, Yarnell, say what you want about the kid. He's a serviceable quarterback, and he shocked the heck out of me when he said he was going to the transfer portal, and a few other guys which don't see any playing time anyway most of the time. I don't think there's any key players leaving other than Yarnell at this point. But can Pitt recover from these guys? From who's leaving? What's going on with this?
Yeah, I think to us around here, Yarnell leaving wasn't all that surprising. Eli Holstein's expected to come back for another year, and I don't think he was losing his grip on the starting job anytime soon. So Yarnell was going somewhere where he could get another opportunity as well. I like you, think that he was a pretty good player. I think he'll land on his feet. But Pitt hasn't really lost anyone to the transfer portal yet that I think you're terribly worried about. Dejon Reynolds, the wide receiver, I thought he could have stepped up into a bigger role next year with, Konate Mumpfield leaving. But at the end of the day, he wasn't a guy who got targeted very often. I think he's better than the numbers would indicate. But between him and Nikai Johnson, the defensive lineman, and Terrence Moore, the backup center, those guys are more depth losses than anything else. So Pitt, I think, is for the most part looking for, they'll probably need a starting receiver. They're going to need some depth at running back. I think they need depth in a couple other places like the defensive line and maybe at safety as well. You could argue that they might need a starting caliber safety too, but I think they've got some guys in-house that they like. So I think if you're Pitt, it's more about retaining the guys that you have. I think you have some quality starters there and just making sure that you have enough depth, especially on the offensive line, because that really hurt them towards the end of the year, was losing so many offensive linemen and so many of those guys, so many starters going down and having to shuffle that lineup so much. It's really more about adding depth for them at this point in the transfer portal season than anything else.
Smokin, Jim, you have any questions for Stephen?
Yes. What was the actual injury to Reed?
We don't know. They did not disclose that injury, so we are not sure.
Wow.
How about Derek Davis? Was that a season-ending injury that he had? Was that to his knee?
We're not sure. You look at the way he kind of held his knee in that Boston College game. Didn't look pretty. So I would be pretty surprised if he ends up playing against Toledo in the bowl game, but they get a lot of time off, a lot of rest from, basically it was Thanksgiving. It'll be about a month before they, in between that game and when they get back on the field to face Toledo. So I think there's a possibility that he could play again, but yeah, I think you're on to something. It didn't look particularly good when Davis went down.
Yeah, exactly. He's from Gateway High School. That's why Smokin' Jim likes him. So anyway, but anyhow, okay, let's talk a little bit about the men's basketball team. It looks like they're doing pretty well for themselves a little bit here. They squeaked it out against Virginia Tech. They beat Ohio State and then kind of lost the game in between. What's your thoughts on this team this year?
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. I'm a voter in the AP poll, and I've had them ranked, I think, for the past couple weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks. So I think they're pretty good. I think they're a little banged up and a little tired. They lost Damian Dunn, who's a starter, their third leading scorer, to injury. against Wisconsin. That was about 2 weeks ago. So he's still recovering from a dislocated thumb. There's probably about a month before we're going to see him back on the court at least. And the other thing is they played, I think, 7 games in 20 days up against that Virginia Tech game. So their next 24 days will include 2 games. So I think they're going to really take advantage of the rest. They're going to use an opportunity to recover and also practice too. That's the thing. Like, they haven't spent a whole lot of time at home. They haven't gotten a whole lot of time to actually practice and work on things that maybe they struggled with against Wisconsin or in that really, really tough loss down at Mississippi State. So I think they're figuring things out a little bit. I think they're also figuring out their lineups a little bit too, with Damian Dunn out. So inserting Zach Austin into the starting lineup against Virginia Tech, I think was pretty big. Helped them really stabilize things on the boards, gave them a little bit of length, a little bit better defense as well. And he's also shooting the heck out of the ball from 3. So I think he's been a really nice addition to the starting lineup. He has been a much more confident 3-point shooter. He's a great defender and shot blocker. So I think Pitt's kind of figuring things out. I think they just wanted to kind of get things stabilized and get back home. Honestly, they've got a couple cupcakes on the schedule between now and the first of the year, which is when they pick ACC play back up.
All right, we got some comments here. Go Lions, go Oregon State Beavers, go Orioles, go Trailblazers. All right, there we go. That's Jay. Jay's a steady watcher of the program. He's also, when I watch other shows, he's on some of the shows I'm on, podcast nationally. Stephen, are you a voter in the AP? Jay asks, you look so young and impressive. Are you a voter in the AP?
Yeah, I did. I actually started this year. So I've only submitted about 7 polls, but it's tough to do. It is tough to do. There are a lot of teams out there and a lot of people to consider for those rankings, especially at this point in the year.
Ralph, I'm liking the bearded look, styling and profiling. Yes, I haven't shaved for a while. I think I'm going to do so because I've got to do my radio show, and I like to look professional when I go to the radio station. So anyway, all right. And Brent here, who's also a study of the show here, they're also watching on the Kneecap Biting Network because we had Jeremy BALLREICH on, and we're on his network as well. Go Army, beat Navy. Yes, absolutely. I like Army. I think they're a really good football team this year. All right, and then we'll go into this one. Congrats, Stephen. Glad you are participating. Remember, all Oregon schools deserve some bias and love.
I can definitely do that. I think I ranked Oregon this week and the week before that, so I'm all in on them.
All right, Smokin' Jim, you have any more questions for Stephen?
Yeah, Stephen, are you like me? Are you a women's volleyball fan, buddy?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that question.
I am to a little bit. Whenever I can watch Pitt's team, obviously they're in the NCAA tournament now. The funny thing is, it's just you watch them and they haven't really been challenged yet. There are a couple teams like Louisville, Stanford that have challenged them a little bit, but even against a ton of the elite teams that you see in women's college volleyball, Pitt just kind of steamrolls through them. But I'm really excited to see how deep they get into this tournament. But if you followed them for a while, you know that it doesn't really get real for them until they hit the Final Four and they start facing those elite teams. So you're just hoping that they can survive until then. And I'll be really excited to see what they can do. I think the Final Four is in Louisville this year. So it'll be pretty exciting to see if they get there and who they draw when they do.
All right, Stephen. One more question before we go. What's the women's team looking like this year? I haven't really been following them, the basketball team. What are they looking like this year?
A little rough. I don't know what their exact record is, but they've had some injury losses to a couple double-digit scores. They had to dismiss a player, Bella Perkins, who was a pretty electric scorer as well from the team, I think just last week. So pretty rough. I think, they're starting to find a little bit of continuity. The head coach, Tori Verdi, went into the transfer portal to find some guys or some players with real power conference Division I experience, but just had some bad luck, I think, with those injuries. And you can see it on the court. It might be another rough season, but I think there's some signs that things are pointing in the right direction. And if they can continue to kind of recruit and stabilize things and hopefully avoid the injuries, they'll continue to get better. I think Verdi's a good coach. He's built a program before. And while this year might be a little bit rough, I think there are better things on the horizon.
All right. Thanks, Stephen, for being part of the program today. Smokin' Jim, you have any final questions for Stephen before he goes?
No, Stephen did an excellent job, man. Great job,
Yes,
sir.
he did.
Enjoyed you.
Thank you
It's
guys
great,
very much.
great having you
Appreciate
on
it.
here again, Stephen. Thank you. And you have yourself a great day. Have yourself a happy holidays and a happy new year.
Thanks, you guys too.
Thank you. That was Stephen Thompson, beat writer for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He was telling us a little bit about what's going on with Pitt football in the bowl game coming up against the Toledo Rockets at Ford Field, and that's the day after Christmas. Let's go back to the here we go. Pitt is 6-5 for women's basketball. Thank you for that, Jay. And nice job, Stephen, Ralph, and Jim. Thank you, Jay, for that. And thank you, as always, in the for your comments in the comment section. As always, I appreciate you listening in. Smokin' Jim does as well. And please don't forget tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Ralph's Opinion Show. We got a lot to talk about, including this ridiculous killing of this CEO of the United Healthcare System. And but don't forget on Saturday, the triple header of Ralph, and it starts with the Ralph Williams Show. I have my guest will be Tony Moreno, former Republican mayoral candidate for the city of Pittsburgh. He will join me every third Saturday of the month because he's not on this third Saturday because I had another guest on, but now I have to change his schedule around. So we'll see where that goes from there. But I have Tony Moreno coming on with me this Saturday. We got a lot to talk about, including Corey O'Connor says he's running for mayor. He had a press conference today, which, of course, we all saw on YouTube. And then also, or on Facebook, I'm sorry. Then at 9 a.m., the External Bum Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch platforms. Ralph Williams, Scott Morganroth, Leo Haggerty, and Smokin' Jeremy B. Jeremy BALLREICH. And that's at 9 a.m. every Saturday as part of the triple header of Ralph. And then the last but not least show, 2 to 3 p.m. every Saturday, 12:50 a.m., 92.5 FM, The Answer. Sports Corner Radio Show, Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. And this Saturday, we have the agent for Dave Parker, who is now in the Hall of Fame and former Pittsburgh Pirate as well. And let's get back to the comments here. It says Ralph's Opinion Show. Yes, it'll be on tomorrow night at 7. On the political show. Oh, the political show. Yes, exactly, Jay. The External Bum Show is a lot of fun. Thank you for that, Jay, as well. All right, Smokin' Jim, let's we have about 12, 13 minutes left in the show. Your thoughts on what Stephen had to say.
Well, I tell you what, man. Ralph, if I was the head coach of University of Pittsburgh, first of all, I would have made the 12 team playoff. But I just believe, man, you got to recruit locally, number one. Because when you recruit locally, people want to play in front of their family and friends, man. I would lock up the local recruits and get better and better at that each year. Number two, I believe in junior college players. These are guys, man, they got overlooked coming out of high school. They're mature, so they're not going to be running back to their high school prom
right
in the spring, getting homesick and getting Dear John letters. They got all that out of the way. They're ready to play. And then thirdly, I would be very, very selective in the players that I bring in. It would have to be splash players, impact players, if I go outside the state and bring them in. So I think that's the biggest mistake Pitt's making is they don't have a relationship with the high schools here because these kids will not jump in the transfer portal. They want to play in front of their family and friends. And two, I would upgrade my ability to bring in junior college players.
All right, Jay said, is Pitt competitive for an NIL perspective? If is that actually measured? Any thoughts on the ideas of where Pitt stands? Well, Jay, Pitt had to go out and get an agency or start some kind of a group called Assurance 412. It's run by a former general manager of the Buffalo Bills and scout Doug Whaley. Okay, they go to Acrisure Stadium and they solicit donations from fans. They go out and get corporations or whomever, alum. That's what this group does. I know some universities now, like Penn State, has put X amount of money aside just for NIL. They don't have to do that like Pitt does. and it depends on the university and what kind of money you have. So Pitt is doing this Assurance 412. They're out there doing some things. Aaron Donald's been throwing some money into the fray, I'm told. So we'll see what goes on here as we move along. And by the way, Aaron Donald's nephew, I forgot to mention, has also entered the transfer portal. So there we go with that as well. So that's Pitt in a nutshell as far as that goes right there. And then Jay says, where's the recruiting funnel for Pitt? How much of the Northeast is or versus the rest of the U.S.? Well, right now I can't say. We lost a real good recruiter in Charlie Partridge. He recruited Florida very well. We used to get a lot of athletes from there. Cade Bell, the offensive coordinator, is a pretty decent recruiter, I'm told. But we'll see where Pitt goes the rest of the way with their recruiting. They're not recruiting locally. Like Smokin' Jim says, we have great talent here in Western Pennsylvania, and they're just not, recruiting in this area. And I don't know why. I think Pat Narduzzi has tunnel vision. I think he just doesn't look at the local scene. He's got this arrogant attitude, and I just don't like the way he conducts business and what he does. We could be a better team, like Smokin' Jim said, but instead we're where we are every year. And it's going to be like that till 2030 because that's Pat Narduzzi's contract. And we're going to have to put up with it until then. So there's...
Hey, Ralph.
Yes.
Ralph, why in the world is Mumford not playing? He ain't going in the first 2 rounds. He needs this game. He needs the bowl game
to show
really,
his talent.
Up his slot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Senior Bowl too. That helps, or the blue gray game, or whatever they call that. Yeah, those games are very important.
These guys are getting bad advice, man. They're getting bad advice. I don't know why. What's he thinks he's going to be a first-round draft choice?
No.
He'll be lucky to go in the 4th round.
Yeah, 4th round or 5th, or maybe even just a free agent. I mean, like some of these other guys. I agree with you on that. I don't know what he's thinking about. I mean, he needs to get every piece of work he can get in, because if scouts see him and see what he does, even if he has a good bowl game, maybe he has 5 touchdowns, let's say, for instance, they're going to be like, hey, wait a minute, this guy's not bad. We can take... Oh, by the way, Smokin' Jim, Izzy Abanikanda has been cut from the Jets.
Wow.
I forgot to mention that.
Wow. If I'm the Steelers, I'm thinking about putting him on the practice squad.
Yeah, I'd scoop him up in a second. I love Izzy,
but
man.
Did we call it? You and I are the only two that says, hey, Izzy, come back to Pitt, break more records.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Hey, look, he did nothing in the NFL. He could have been maybe a first-round draft choice. He come back for 1 more year.
Yes,
He'd have set
exactly.
all kind of records, and now the Jets is cutting you. Bro, that's going to be hard to get another job.
Exactly. Well, another thing, too, I forgot to let everyone know, Dayon Hayes is transferring from Colorado. 1 season. And then you got Kamara, that Kamara kid. He's transferring out of somewhere. I think South Carolina or somewhere. He didn't play. And then you got
I didn't know. I didn't know Hayes was transferring.
Yeah, he's transferring
in the portal. Wow.
Yep, he's in the portal. Kamara's in the portal. Them guys could have really helped the team this year, but instead they chose to transfer in nothing. So, they make bad decisions. They're always looking for the big dollar in this NIL stuff, and then when they don't get it, they get mad and come back. Or when they don't play, they think they're going to get playing time somewhere else. Hey, if you're getting it here, why would you go there and think you're going to get it? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Good job. Good job, bro.
You might be a good player here, but you go somewhere else and stink. I mean, that's as simple as that, And we're seeing that right now,
Yeah.
So, all right, Smokin' Jim, we got about a minute or 2 left here in the show before we got to get into the wrestling show. Your final thoughts or anything you want to add before we get things here going?
Well, I got my Philadelphia Eagle cap on today, so primarily because it goes with my outfit. So you'll see that on the L. Levine, the Talking Machine show. But the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't beaten the Philadelphia Eagles since 1965. I think a lot of that is because they had the worst turf in all of football. You could lose your career on that turf. But Philadelphia Eagles solid, man. They're a solid team. I think that they had their scare this past week, and the Pittsburgh Steelers going to have the hard press to get a victory Sunday at 4:30.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. It's going to be, I don't know. I think they're going to lose, but I think it might be a dogfight. And if it is, I don't see the Steelers winning because if they haven't won in Philly. I hope they do so they can move on. All right, coming up next, Wrestle Talk with me, Ralph Williams, Smokin' Jim Frazier. We'll be coming back to you at 5 o'clock. Our guest at 5:30, Matt Berenik, the ring announcer for the Pros of Wrestling, all coming up. And I got some pictures to show you of myself and Mark Charles at KSWA's event on Saturday. We'll be talking about that, WWE, their transfer portal, and AEW, and a whole lot more coming right up. So stay tuned. Until next week, for Smokin' Jim Frazier, I'm Ralph Williams. Have yourself a great day.